Along with hiking and skiing in the great outdoors, I love visiting theme and amusement parks. I often see on social media people criticize those who visit Disney World when there are so many amazing national parks to visit. For me, I love to do both. Some of the best jobs I've ever had were working in the theme park industry. I even met my wife Erin while working at Disneyland. As a result, theme parks are just as big of a part of me as hiking and skiing is. And over the years, I have visited many parks around the world. Most theme park enthusiasts only seem to rank their favorite roller coasters. While roller coasters are some of my favorite attractions, I enjoy incredible dark rides and shows just as much as the world's best roller coasters. So on this list, I will be ranking my top 50 favorite attractions, whether it is a roller coaster, dark ride, or a nighttime spectacular. Today we're going to be going over rankings 50 through 26. Some attractions are missing from this list that you might expect. Chances are I have not snubbed them, however I have not made it onto these attractions yet, or been to the park at all. Here are honorable mentions of attractions I have not ridden yet, but I would expect to land somewhere on this list if I do get the chance to ride them. There are several parks I haven't had the chance to get out to yet either. Now these are my top 50 favorite attractions, not necessarily what I think is the best. Some attractions on this list will rank higher than others, even though I think one is objectively better. Now, let's get started on the rankings. Starting off the list at number 50 is Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. This roller coaster is one I expect to shoot up in my rankings the next time I ride it, since when I last rode it, it was extremely rough, diminishing the rankings for this ride. However, the year after I rode it last, this roller coaster received a massive renovation, getting new trains and a complete retracking, which today now gives a night and day difference in smoothness. The layout of this ride is immaculate, with large airtime hills in the first half and fast-paced smaller hills and turns through the structure during its second half. Regardless of the roughness, this is still one of my favorite wooden coasters I've ever ridden, and I'm excited to see where it ranks when I return to Knott's Berry Farm. Our next attraction on this list is also a roller coaster. Superman Krypton Coaster, located in my personal favorite Six Flags park, Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Built by one of my favorite roller coaster manufacturers, Bollinger & Mabillard, aka B&M, this floorless roller coaster is incredibly unique where it hugs the quarry wall that surrounds Fiesta Texas. Standing at a height of 168 feet with 6 inversions, this is one monster of a roller coaster. Someday I hope to return to this incredible park, especially since they added Iron Rattler and Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster, which I expect to rank very high on this list. Coming in at number 48 is a very sentimental roller coaster for me, which is Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. This coaster opened up the summer I was working at Cedar Point in 2013, and as a result makes its place higher on the list than most would put it. Nevertheless, this coaster is another huge addition to this incredible park with one of the tallest inversions in the world and giving the unique sensation of hanging on the outside of the track. B&M also built this coaster as one of their popular wing coaster models. This attraction looks stunning as well as it greets you to one of the best amusement parks on the planet. Gatekeeper will always be one of my must-dos when I am at the incredible Cedar Point. Heading over to the LA area, we head over to Universal Studios Hollywood for Transformers The Ride. Universal is often knocked for having too many screen-based rides, and while I do feel that way most of the time, when Universal gets its screen-based simulators right, damn do they get it right. While I've never cared for the Transformers films, this attraction managed to make you feel like you're really moving around while just staring at a screen. With an impressive blend of real sets and simulations, this is always a must-do when you head to either Universal Park. I have not had the chance to ride The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure, which uses the same technology, so I'm really looking forward to riding it this upcoming spring. For number 46, we head over to our first Disney attraction, Soarin' Over California, located at Disney California Adventure and Epcot. Today, this exists as Soarin' Over the World, however, the original has always been one of my favorites. With the immaculate shots of California's incredible scenery and one of the best soundtracks in theme park history, Disney excels at what could have been a very dull concept and turn it one of the most memorable and iconic attractions in the world. I do wish this version would permanently run at California Adventure, and Soarin' Over the World would be exclusive to Epcot, as it is better fit to the theme of that park. Regardless, both versions of Soarin' are incredible and a must-do anytime you're at either park. Number 45 brings us to the best shooting dark ride in the world, Toy Story Midway Mania. Located at both California Adventure and Disney Hollywood Studios, Midway Mania solves a lot of issues I have with shooting rides where it's hard to tell exactly where you're shooting. The way this is accomplished is due to the way the screens track your movements along with being able to shoot many rounds a second, making for an incredibly fun and competitive experience. This ride is so competitive that I actually proposed to my wife Erin on this attraction by making her think she actually beat me, and as a result of beating me, she got an engagement ring. There are even secret triggers on every game where if you're up to the challenge and succeed, you're rewarded with tons of high value items, making this attraction the more fun the better you get at it. As you can tell, this ride is very sentimental to me and is always a must do when you're at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. Speaking of must-do attractions, it's hard to get any more classic than the Haunted Mansion. This is one of the most iconic and beloved theme park attractions in the world. For me personally, while both versions are very similar between Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, I love them both equally. However, when Disneyland transforms during the Halloween and the Christmas seasons for Nightmare Before Christmas and Haunted Mansion Holiday, it takes this attraction up to another notch. The Haunted Mansion is a masterclass of storytelling no matter which version you ride. It's hard to believe the original attraction opened up in 1969. The Haunted Mansion will always be one of my all-time favorite dark rides. For number 43, we stay with Disney for one of my all-time favorite attractions at Walt Disney World Resort, Test Track at Epcot. I seem to be in the minority preferring the 2012 remodel over the original, but I've always felt the newer version fits Epcot's future world way better. Plus, being able to design your own vehicle to test on the sim track against other people in your vehicle has always made a fun addition. The layout is a blast, testing everything a vehicle goes through, with an excellent grand finale racing out of the building to an outdoor track at 65 miles an hour. This high-speed attraction has always been a blast and one of my favorite dark rides. We go back to roller coasters for number 42 with Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is a ride I honestly think might change a lot in my rankings when I return to Busch Gardens this upcoming April, as it had been almost 10 years since I rode Kumba on a crowded New Year's Eve night in 2012. However, I do remember this ride blowing me away with its fast pacing and intensity. Packed with 7 inversions with breakneck pacing makes this one an all-time classic. This B&M is one of many people's favorite sit-down looping coasters, and it's no exception for me. I really hope when I get back to Busch Gardens, Tampa, that this coaster blows me away as much as it did all those years ago. Heading back to Epcot for number 41, and what is considered a loved or hated attraction is Mission Space. This attraction is pretty intense, using a massive centrifuge to create the G-forces to simulate launching on a rocket. Blasting off from Earth on the way to Mars, you pass by the moon, asteroids, and finish with a thrilling touchdown on the Red Planet. A lot of people do find this uncomfortable, but for myself, I love it. Maybe I was meant to blast off into space, but until SpaceX gets the cost of rocket launches down enough for the regular person to afford, this is the closest I will come to strapping myself to a rocket. Heading over to the West Coast for my favorite roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm, at least potentially until I get to ride the much improved Ghost Rider, is Accelerator. This was the prototype of the hydraulic launch used by manufacturer Intamin to launch you from 0 to 82 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. You then fly up the 205-foot tall top hat and quickly come back down. This launch is one of the most intense accelerations you'll feel anywhere, and not just in an amusement park. While this is a short ride, this is still an incredible and exhilarating ride because of its launch. For number 39, we head back over to Florida to Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is a prime example of an attraction that's not as intense as others on this list. However, the theming and overall vibe while riding this attraction makes this one I'm happy to wait for every time I go to Walt Disney World. The onboard audio is always a blast, and each ride feels different as each train has a different audio track. Combined with a decently forceful launch and 3 inversions, Rock and Roller Coaster is always a blast. This coaster on its own wouldn't come close to getting into my top 50 favorite attractions, but combined with the theming makes it such a fun experience. Going back to the West Coast, we visit the park with the most coasters on the planet, X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is another ride that I have not ridden in over 10 years and honestly would expect it to climb up the rankings as I've only ridden it once. However, that one and only ride was something else. This bizarre and crazy ride is similar to B&M wing coasters like Gatekeeper, however they take it up a notch by having it spin the seats while you're sitting on the sides of the track. Sadly, this was the final ride built by legendary manufacturer Aerodynamics and it was way ahead of its time. Magic Mountain added fire effects in 2008, rebranding it from X to X2 along with new trains. I hope to get back to Magic Mountain someday and ride this beast, hopefully with a much shorter line than last time. Heading right down I-5, we visit one of the most advanced simulators in the world, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run at Disneyland and Hollywood Studios. Almost anyone who's fallen in love with the Star Wars films have dreamt about flying on the most famous fictional ship in sci-fi, the Millennium Falcon. With one of the most lifelike animatronics ever made, your story begins in the pre-show, where it is explained you need to pilot the Falcon to obtain coaxium for the Resistance. You then board the Falcon, waiting to get into the cockpit in what looks like it was ripped straight from the set of A New Hope. Once you're in the cockpit, you and 5 others work together to pilot the Falcon. What makes this truly impressive is how you actually pilot the Millennium Falcon, and the outcome of your mission is actually determined by how well you all do as a team. While most don't even consider this the best attraction in Galaxy's Edge, it is still incredibly impressive how well it all comes together. We head to Paris for our next attraction. Space Mountain has been a beloved attraction for decades, but Disneyland Paris needed to install an incredible attraction to help out the struggling newly opened theme park. Instead of building a clone of the many existing Space Mountain attractions, Walt Disney Imagineers took Space Mountain to the next level to design a version with 3 inversions and a launch. It is hard to believe that an attraction of this size would fit into the building, but this delivered an incredible modern twist on a classic attraction. Regardless, this is a must-do attraction and a good enough reason to visit Disneyland Paris alone. Number 35 on the list is a prime example how it does not matter what your attraction is based on, as long as it is extremely well executed. Splash Mountain is an all-time classic attraction and one of the best log flumes you'll find anywhere in the world. Themed to a movie almost no one has watched, Songs of the South, this attraction takes a log flume to the next level. Featuring many drops including a roller coaster style drop in the dark, the flume aspect itself is top-notch. However, when you add in the theming and animatronics around you to add in a truly masterpiece of a ride. Let's hope that the re-theme of The Princess and the Frog that is coming up is just as wonderful as Splash Mountain is today. One of my favorite things about visiting a top-tier level theme park is when the park has a nighttime spectacular that ends the day with a literal bang. Fireworks have always been a classic way to end your night. Walt Disney Imagineering hit all their notes when they debuted Happily Ever After at the Magic Kingdom in 2017. Taking technology from another show we'll talk about, Disneyland Forever, Cinderella's castle comes alive with state-of-the-art projection mapping. With the projections, along with the spotlights, and of course the fireworks, Happily Ever After tells a wonderful story. Kicking off with a beautiful original song, Happily Ever After then visits some of our favorite characters. Using many tried and true classics such as Friend Like Me from Aladdin, Happily Ever After also uses a few other songs that are not typically used but masterfully added to this show. Instead of using Frozen's most popular song, Let It Go, the show slows down for a gorgeous duet of Love is an Open Door. Later in the show, another lesser used song, Go the Distance from Hercules, is another beautiful duet. I really think Walt Disney Imagineering knocked it out of the park when it came to engineering this show, which marks the perfect ending to a day at Magic Kingdom. Coming in at number 33, we head back over to Paris to another attraction that has been reproduced around the world many times, but added a brand new twist to it just like Space Mountain Mission 2. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is always a must-do attraction when you're at the classic parks, but this one in Paris turns that attraction up to 11. You board the attraction along the banks of the rivers of America and then head into a tunnel that goes under the river. Once you emerge on the other side of the tunnel, you are on an island that is typically occupied by Tom Sawyer's Island and the other Magic Kingdom style parks. The fun twist of having this attraction in the middle of the river along with the speed you return under the river is what makes this attraction so special. This along with Space Mountain Mission 2 is what makes Disneyland Paris a very special and underrated park. Staying with Disney but heading over to the original is another all-time classic attraction, Pirates of the Caribbean. While this attraction is found in Disney parks around the world, of the ones I have been to, Disneyland's is one of my all-time favorites. Being almost 7 minutes longer than its Magic Kingdom counterpart, the original is superior in every way, from floating by the incredible Blue Bayou restaurant and heading down 2 decent-sized drops into a cave. The whole section that takes place before the Magic Kingdom's version of Pirates of the Caribbean would even begin could be a decent ride on its own. There's a reason why this is one of the most famous attractions in the world and always is a must-do when at Disneyland. On a side note, Paris's version is also fantastic, which also gets often overlooked. Heading back to one of my all-time favorite parks, we head to the original hypercoaster, Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Back in 1989, Cedar Point kicked off the roller coaster wars with this monster of a roller coaster that is beloved to this day. Standing 205 feet tall along the coast of Lake Erie, this coaster is packed with tons of ejector airtime as an all-time favorite when it comes to enthusiasts. This coaster is either a loved or hated one due to its lap bars. While the ejector airtime is welcoming, the old-style lap bars can be a painful ride to some. Regardless, Cedar Point has an absolute winner on its hands and is always a must-ride when I'm at the point. While Magnum XL 200 brought many enthusiasts together in loving coasters, there is one for me that started my love for them. When I was young, I was terrified of roller coasters, to the point I would almost never ride them. When I was about 6 years old, I was at Disneyland with my dad and asked him what ride was in the corner of Tomorrowland. That ride was Space Mountain, and while my dad was convinced I would hate it, I got off the attraction wanting to get right back in line. This all-time classic is the crown jewel of taking an average roller coaster layout and adding an amazing theme around it to bring it to a world-class ride. To this day, I will wait an hour plus to go only 35 miles an hour, rocketing through space and always having a massive smile on my face. We head back up to Ohio for our next attraction, but to Kings Island this time to view one of their many amazing roller coasters. Their newest attraction on this list is a massive roller coaster from B&M, Orion. The first of several giga coasters on this list, Orion has a massive 300-foot drop while hitting speeds of 91 miles per hour. Filled with excellent airtime moments and intense positive Gs, Orion is a state-of-the-art excellent roller coaster that is a blast from start to finish. This is the first of many roller coasters from Kings Island on this list, which goes to show you how great of a park Kings Island is. Coming in at number 28, we head to my former home park and one of the coasters I've ridden most of my life, Afterburn at Carowinds. Formerly known as Top Gun, this was one of the first roller coasters I wanted to ride. I had to wait a few years after moving to South Carolina since I was waiting to hit the 54-inch height requirement. The day finally came one summer and I was finally able to enjoy this incredible B&M invert. This intense and action-packed compact layout makes this my second favorite invert to this day. Hitting 6 inversions in rapid succession with very high positive Gs, no wonder this roller coaster fanned the flames from my love for them. We now head to Carowind's sister park up in Ohio, Kings Island, to ride Banshee. Rising from the ashes of the thankfully defunct infamous roller coaster Son of Beast, this B&M invert delivers on intensity while flying through 7 inversions. Built almost a decade and a half after Afterburn, B&M has perfected their craft to bring an even bigger and badder roller coaster. Banshee is perfectly paced with high positive Gs through its amazing inversions. Banshee adds to Kings Island's already incredible lineup to make it one of the best amusement parks in the world. Staying in Kings Island, we head over to the other side of the park for number 26, Diamondback. This is another fantastic coaster built by B&M and another one of their incredible hypercoaster models. Standing 230 feet tall and reaching 80 miles per hour, this beast has some of the best float or airtime you will find on any roller coaster. Like most enthusiasts, airtime is the holy grail of sensation you get while on a roller coaster, and Diamondback's entire existence is based on providing that flying out of your seat experience. Combined with the picturesque splashdown finale, it is no wonder why this is ranked so highly in the world of roller coasters. That's a wrap on the first 25 attractions on my top 50 list. Be sure to subscribe to see the top 25 attractions video, which is coming up soon. Until that comes out, keep dreaming of those awesome attractions through the winter. Thank you for watching.